the Dyson sphere setup currently. We started on this star system. We created the smallest possible Dyson sphere here, and this is only has a gas giant with 3 moons around it. So the original planet that got me to the end game, where I could have easily completed the last science, or at least the game ending science, could have been done there just fine, but it wasn't the best location, and I wanted the challenge to build the largest conceivable, most powerful Dyson sphere, at least in the star system. So I found the type O star with the highest luminosity, which in this case is 2.468, with a mass of 50 solar masses. And so I've started building here instead. So the original tiny Dyson sphere around my original star only puts out under 3 gigawatts, and this one is extremely partially constructed right now, barely at all. And it already is producing 28 gigawatts just on the shell, and a little bit more out there. So you can see these, if I go here, so this is the home planet, or my new home, and those are the rockets that help construct the Dyson sphere. And then, so here's, they're launching together, and then they go out towards, let me get over here where I can see where they're going. There we go. So we can see, there's where the rockets are headed. And these lasers are shooting the actual solar sails out. And I've really cranked up their frequency in order to make sure I'm not constrained. I think I was solar cell constrained on the construction of the sphere. We can see these rockets are kind of going to different nodes right now. See, they kind of split up, and there's a lot of different nodes they're populating right now. And the sails are terminating right here, and we can see they're peeling off, actually from a lot of locations, but they're streaming out to these nodes where they are constructing the sphere. I'm really overdoing it on the solar sails, but I have a lot of resources, so I just don't care too much. Okay, so that is the construction of the large Dyson sphere. I don't know how powerful it's going to be, but it's already 28 gigawatts, and it's a tiny fraction of what it's going to be. I'm actually using up pretty much the whole thing. So I'm actually requesting 27.9 gigawatts, and it's supplying 29.8. So I'm almost using the entire amount of power total. Okay, so this is kind of the new home planet, and this is the hub. I'm basically exporting all the common goods from the old home planet, and just requesting them here and filling up these. So when I have another project, I come here, I load up on what I need to load up on. For example, I need those. I could use more belts, and 5, a few more assemblers. Where's my assemblers? 6, 7, and just going to check my bots. I have 315, so I need more of those, and I have 110 of those, so I need one more stack of vessels and as many of these as I can get. And we're full. Okay. So this is pretty much it. Oh yeah, on the opposite pole, I have my research station. It only does the in-game science. And so what this does, oops, if I can get in here, this just requests blocks of 1,000 of the good science. When it shows up, it just spits out into this circle, and it just gets consumed really fast. Now, I'm currently producing 720 of that science per minute. It's pretty fast, but it's going to get a lot faster. That's just a start. Okay, so now we need to go to my smelting refining planet, which actually is kind of evolved into just like producing a lot of stuff. Originally, I was going to produce most of my stuff over at Factory, and it has acid in the name because it has sulfuric acid oceans. And so this was originally just going to be smelting, but then I started doing refining and also building parts. That's got 10 iron, 23 stone, 16 silicon being loaded up into logistics. That's what these things are. Okay, so this looks a little crazy, but it started out, it'll make some sense here. So you can see on the map on the bottom left, there's kind of these blue lines that go around the planet. So that's just these ray receivers for receiving Dyson sphere power. So I put those on either the equator or the fault lines so that the building in between are pretty clean. So we're basically building these factories along, they kind of run along the lines of latitude, just they kind of run horizontally on the planet. And that way there's no, everything just lines up perfectly that way pretty much. And over here, this is a cool thing. This is a special factory that turns hydrogen into deuterium. Basically, we need to destroy hydrogen, and we need deuterium, so it works both purposes. So this line of fractionators goes around the entire planet. So I'll just quickly go all the way around. So we can see there's one processing node. There's 3 processing nodes. All fractionators, another processing node, then I'll stop at the 3rd processing node. And this just goes all the way around the planet. Okay, so what this does, this is where the fractionators come in. So you can see its deuterium is going to the right, and its hydrogen is going to the left. So the hydrogen, this is unburned hydrogen or unconverted hydrogen, and since it's on this belt, it's the highest priority. So you can see it basically continues on and gets injected into the next line of fractionators. So this stuff coming off that output is the highest priority, so it gets preferred going through here, and then this line gets preferred going into here. So this line is, so basically whatever is on this main belt of hydrogen is highest priority to get burned into deuterium. The next priority are planet-side hydrogen. So there are other processes on this planet that produce hydrogen, and we want to burn that off as fast as possible. So that's why this stuff is the highest priority, then this stuff coming in here is the next priority. So we prefer to burn this stuff if possible. Now if we run out of this stuff, we might still need deuterium to be produced. Therefore, we're happy to pull the hydrogen off the nearest gas giant. And so that's what this is for. See, it's got remote demand. So that's just pulling, it's just basically sitting here storing hydrogen from the nearest gas giant, and makes it available to this if needed. But as we can see, we got plenty of hydrogen to burn off from the local planet, so it's not actually using any of that right now. It would be there if it needed to. Otherwise, what's happening with the deuterium? Remember, it comes in here initially, and then it actually gets output into some tanks, and then it just comes in here and gets jammed into this one here. So this is just a storage mechanism to store a whole bunch of additional deuterium if it stacks up, because we don't want our hydrogen burning to crash if we just stack up on a bit too much deuterium. And so each processing station has this structure, and this structure, and this structure here. Each of the 3 are the same, and it just spans the entire planet. So that's our hydrogen burning system. Let's see if there's anything else interesting here. Yeah, there is actually. So these are just for power, and I did go ahead and supply these with gravitational lenses, which doubles the power. And basically this belt splitter situation goes across the entire planet. So these are producing 34.7 megawatts. I don't know, 30 or 34, I'm not sure which. A bunch of megawatts. And the power situation on this planet is 5.6, 3.5 of which is being consumed. It's a lot's going on right now because we're actually producing science finally. So 2 of the sciences are produced over on the factory planet, but these things here are producing the science, and basically everything comes in and gets fed into the end game science. And let's see if we have a bottleneck. So it looks like we're quite the 5 basic sciences are coming in pretty cleanly. In fact, they're entirely buffered up, so there's just no problems. Looks like we are simply constrained by how many. We're either constrained by antimatter or. So let's check. So antimatter we're not constrained on, and so we're actually constrained right now by the number of these research facilities producing the white science. So this is what 720 in-game science per minute looks like. And I'm going to get that up to 10,000 before I move to another game. This planet is capable. This planet alone will be close to being able to do 10,000. Okay, let's find where I'm producing the antimatter. I can't. Oh, it's not on this planet. The reason it's not on this planet is because we want it on the one closest in, so it's on factory. I think the solar energy ratio counts on the rate receivers. Could be wrong. I think it does. It's 155% compared to 136%. So let's go to. We'll go to that planet next. I'm not sure if there's anything really interesting here to look at. Like here's my quantum processors. This is all basically just set up to use the fastest belts. These are bottlenecked by plane filters, so this is something I'm going to have to fix. I got to put that on my to-do list. Let's go look at the plane filters, just so we can kind of trace this back and figure out where's the bottleneck. Plane filters will be done on this planet somewhere. Plane filters is a really large build. Here it is. And let's check their inputs. Yeah, these are going to be bottlenecked. These are ultimately produced from unipolar magnets. I probably need to start using the turbines to produce them, but this is kind of like the fundamental. This is the current bottleneck of the entire system, are these Casimir crystals. So I'm basically using all the unipolar magnets in the entire star cluster to produce them, and it's just not enough. So if we look at these coming in from neutron star, that's doing a maximum amount of throughput for the unipolar magnets there. And then let's see if I can maybe rotate this. So we got a black hole over here, so that's maximizing throughput to the black hole system. And I've not been able to find any unipolar magnets anywhere else. So long story short, I need to produce more turbines, which will allow me to produce more. So I can produce these from, excuse me, not turbines. What am I talking about? What was I thinking of? What was I thinking of? Hang on. So these so it was the Casimir crystals, right? What did the unipolar? I can't remember what those could have produced. Oh, these. Okay. Right. Sorry, I got those mixed up because they're both pink. So forget the unipolar magnets. I'm constrained by this this stuff. optical grading crystals, which is not a problem. I can get those anywhere. So that's going to be a really easy bottleneck to fix. So let's go check that production. So this is where I'm consuming the unipolar magnets. Yeah, we're pretty much buffered up on these. Actually, this one's not. Only that one. So I'm going to do... I don't know why that one's being preferred. So I'm going to add a splitter in here real quick. Okay, so and we're going to prefer this output. There. Now this side. I think I'll do the same here. We can just improve our buffer. I mean, I'm not constrained on this currently, but it'll feel nicer. Go here, here, and there. And we want to prefer this output. There. That will, that way, I don't know why it was kind of leaning in that direction. That was weird. Okay, I'm looking for the other purple. Oh, what's this? Nope. That's, oh, this is my oil refining. This is a pretty epic amount of oil refineries. That is a lot of stuff. And we can see, basically it's maxing out. You know what I wouldn't mind is another... See, I can't use this one because it's actively, like, using the vessels. So I kind of want to... I need to put... I don't have a place to put this. Darn. Okay, I'll do it some other time. It's not terrible. But basically, we're capped out on that kind of oil, and it's obviously not being used that fast. It's being used, but... And this is a good example of burning off the hydrogen, because if that got stuck, then these wouldn't run. That's why burning off the hydrogen is so important. Anyhow, let's look for that pink stuff. What's this one? That. Yeah, it's on this planet somewhere. There they are. Okay, so this is interesting. Yeah, are these just slow? Probably the issue. Wow. Okay, so what did I screw up? I guess I thought I wasn't going to need a lot of it. Oh, hydrogen, really? Yeah, hydrogen can't be the issue. Oh, I see. I just need to add... I need to duplicate this factory, because the way this is set up, this consumes all the hydrogen coming in. So I just need to produce more of these, which I will do. I'm going to add that to my to-do list over here. Vessels to add 2 more Casimir factories. Yeah, so that's simple. I just need to copy-paste this 2 times. And I might be able to get creative and dump some extra hydrogen. Wait a second, where's the hydrogen? Ah, interesting. So I had the... Okay, this is a problem. Okay, I guess I thought there was going to be enough hydrogen at this planet, and that was incorrect. So we're going to turn on remote request on those, because I have infinity hydrogen elsewhere. And make sure distance to warp is at a minimum, power charging is at max. Now that's going to help a lot. And then I will just duplicate, copy paste this. I could... I think just copy pasting it's going to be easier. I was thinking about running some extra hydrogen in. What's going on here? Why is this so crazy? Oh, I see. Okay. So this, well, this just goes through hydrogen really fast. And what this was doing was trying to prioritize. So this was pulling in remote. And these splitters were causing it to prefer the local hydrogen. But I'm content now that we are slamming our local hydrogen enough that I'm just going to kind of ignore most of that. So there's some coming in from remote. Yeah, basically our system doesn't need to prefer the local hydrogen anymore. So everything's pulling in remote. So I think our hydrogen issues will be fixed. Unless, are we coming in from over here? No, we're good. Okay, well, that'll work a little bit better for now. Alright, let's go to that factory planet, which isn't much of a factory compared to this planet. Those are the solar sails being shot out of my home planet. And the orange are the solar sails that are just in the solar swarm. They've not been allocated to the Dyson shell. And those little blue dots going across that are ultimately feeding into those nodes, those are the solar sails that have been allocated. They've been removed from the swarm and allocated to the shell. So they just form an orderly line to get into the shell. Once they're in the shell, they no longer have a lifetime. They just last forever. But when they're in the shell, when they're in the swarm and they're orange, they have a limited lifetime. So I'm getting 2 gigawatts just from the 22,000 out in the swarm. But the only reason I have a swarm is to make sure I'm fully there are solar sails available to feed into the shell. So the shell is basically maximizing the intake right now of those. And then these rockets coming out, they actually construct the shell. So the rockets, when they get into the shell, they produce power also. So you can, so the rockets form this grid that produces power, but then when the solar sails go in, they start building these internal structures. Okay, so to the factory planet. I'm going to show the antimatter production system. Okay. Well, first of all, here is where I produce the antimatter. So you can see it takes in a critical photon and produces hydrogen and antimatter. And we are constrained currently by critical photons. Critical photons are being created here. Okay. So these are critical photons coming across, and they come out of these, which are set to photon generation. These, without the gravitational lenses, are demanding 139 megawatts of power. Those, when I turn the gravitational lens on, it goes up to 278 megawatts. And since my Dyson sphere has more power in it now, I can expand this. So I'm at 228.3 out of 31, so I'm going to just expand this to 5 really quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So that's 29. And that just, basically everyone I hook up to it ends up, so this one's doing 139, this one's doing 278. It just basically doubles how much power it can process. And every time this goes around, it's basically consuming this much power per time period, extracting one of those critical photons. And then, so I'm going to, basically this goes all the way around the planet. You can't see it in that view. So you can see it goes all the way around the planet. And so this belt that grabs the critical photons does go around the planet. And just gradually, as the Dyson sphere has enough power, I just expand this system all around the planet. I don't want to overdo it because it can only take so much power demand. I've been kind of waiting on the Dyson sphere to get a little bit more powerful because these take a huge amount. Just 278 megawatts in a single building is just a ton. So let's see this. Okay, good. That's how that works. And the other thing is when these lenses are in here, that allows these to operate even when they're on the dark side of the planet. That's the gravitational lenses. Not only do they double the power input and power request, power input, but also allows them to work in the dark. And so why is this one not running? Probably because its output is jammed full. Yeah, its output is full. They can't keep going. And I don't know if there's anything else interesting on this planet. But you can see, once again, I have the ray receivers on the equator and I think the tropic lines. So if I load this up, you can see this is a fault line here. So it's nice to just put something across the whole planet on this so you don't have to build on them. And then it's just pretty trivial to set up inside here and build. So if I expand the factories on this, I just kind of hug one of these ray receiver lines like this, or like that. And you end up with some buffer area in between where you can put some extra towers or something. So this is a good example of a tower that's not correct. It has the warpers, but this needs to be set to 0.5 AU because I want them warping between the local planets now that I have a lot of space warpers. So I'm going to copy that setting. So this one you can see is 12. You can paste the settings around. I don't remember the original, but I borrowed the shift left click, shift right click from Factorio. So basically I can just go around now and paste that around. So it's on my to-do list to double check all of my towers because I have this planet out here. You can see that it's got the optical grading crystal coming in. But basically, look how slow those guys are coming. So look at that one. So that one warped across. You can see these warping between internal planets. I'm not talking about the ones that are coming from outside of the system, like that one that just went across. That's what we want all these to be doing. So I've got to increase my bandwidth by setting all of my towers to do that. So yeah, like that one's wrong. So I need to go around and make sure they all have warping crystals. This, set that to 100, local demand, and then that gets to 0. So I have to do that for every tower, not a big deal. Should have done that originally, but and here this planet is actually inside the Dyson sphere as it's going up, so it kind of has a different look. So those are, what are those? Those are the solar sails that have been allocated from the swarm to go into that thing. Let's see. So that's those blue lines. These are the solar sails being launched. And then we should see, the view's kind of blocked here, but those blue dots up there, those are the rockets going in. Looks like they're launching in kind of small clusters right now. All right, what else is there? Anything else around here? That's 31 iron, 24, what would T be? Titanium, 19 copper, 18, probably silicon, but that should be Si. I'll confirm when I go there. But there's towers there I need to upgrade to do the warping and stuff. So, I think that's about it. Is there anything else around here? This one. See, I need more of that optical grading stuff. So I'm getting this one. I don't know how much is on there, but I need to make sure I'm extracting as much as I can. So since that's so far away, one thing that will allow me to get more from it is to use like 5 to 10 interstellar logistics towers, because frankly 10 vessels is not enough to maximize throughput between. So that by having 5 or 10 towers, you can have 50 or 100 vessels kind of going back and forth. Actually, this is one thing worth noting. I need to go to my smelting planet if I can find it. Where is it? Right there. Can't see it. So at the top here is where I have these extra setups. So these are just extra requesters. Mainly on this pole, you can see these all have unipolar magnets on them. That's because the unipolar magnets are really, really, really far away, and when I'm constrained on those, it's hard to get that. So that's what most of these are doing, and then these long range ones to the black hole. So this is a good example of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 8. That's like 80 vessels right there just available for the unipolar magnets, and similar on the other side. There's 5 to 10 out at the black hole and neutron star doing similar type of thing. So these I just created because I was lacking throughput of antimatter, or I suspected there would be a throughput problem. And I don't know how big a problem it is right now. But I forecast that it would be a problem, so I needed to add a bunch of extra there. So we can see those are still cranking at full, which is nice. I wasn't sure if those Casimir crystals would actually bottleneck my science or not. But we've actually got a whole lot of science built up right now. So I'm going to go to the home planet, which is easy to find. You just find the source of the blue stream of solar sails. I'm just going to turn science on and see how fast it goes. It's been buffering up. Here's our science up here. Okay, so we see... Is this even moving? Yeah, but these aren't selecting. So these are entirely full of the white science, and this is buffered up 1900 with 1,000 more inbound. It's a pretty good buffer, so it's going to rip through a few thousand really quick. I need to figure out which one I want to do. Kind of hooked on this one. Yeah, this is the next obvious one. Get the vessels going faster. Okay, there it goes. So started at 50 or whatever. That was a little bit weird, wasn't it? I thought it was 48. No, it's 50. Okay. So that's all. There might be some on the old home planet going, but this is obviously the vast majority. So here we can see, here's this unloading. It has, it's hard to see. It's got 2 streams, one going that way and one going that way. And it's just unloading as fast as it can. Oops. You can see how fast it consumes. And then here pretty soon we'll have another load coming in. So we'll be about every minute and 20 seconds. It'll pull in another 1,000 from the logistics network. Running at, I think, 720 science per minute being produced. You can see the consumption is a little bit spiky there. But that's kind of annoying, hard to see. I don't know if I can turn off consumption. Anyhow, that's the point, is it's super consistent. It's like very consistently producing. If I go the last 10 hours, we can see nothing, and then it's just a solid line of production. So 720 per second in 1 hour. You can see it ramping up there. So here it buffered up, used it, and then just went in batches. So every time 100 was delivered, or 1,000 were delivered to this research area, you would consume it, and then it would not be consumed for a while. So you can. That just shows you when the deliveries happen, and that's when the science was researched. And then there's nothing. And then I just chose a research, and then it just blasted through the buffer, and now it's back into this pattern like that. And the Casimir crystals, let's see if we made a good change there, because I improved the flow of hydrogen. It was not aggressive enough at pulling off the interstellar grid. Where are those things? There they are. So let's go to, yeah, this is correct. So we could see that when hydrogen was available, it could produce at this rate, but it was artificially constrained because there was only one interstellar interplanetary logistics tower pulling hydrogen in from the nearest gas giant, because it was really aggressively trying to pull local hydrogen. And that fractionator system is really efficient at burning off local hydrogen, so there just wasn't enough. So now we are hydrogen. I'm pretty certain we're hydrogen bottlenecked. Actually, that's not true. We're probably assembler bottlenecked here. So I'm going to triple or quadruple my capacity for producing these, because I want to be Casimir crystal, or not that. That's not what they're called. What are these things? I want to be optical grading crystal constrained. I don't want to be constrained by hydrogen or anything. But this is a wonderful hydrogen sink, and we have more than... Oh, there's no gas giant here. I'm pulling gas giant from... probably here. Probably this one. Yeah, we can see them coming in there. So that is just the gas giant. I've got it entirely surrounded with the orbital collectors. So I have basically infinity hydrogen. I just need to probably add some more interstellar towers. So I'm going to need 3, possibly 5 interstellar interplanetary logistics towers for each Casimir crystal block, just to make sure I have enough vessels that can go back and forth. Okay, now am I actually done? This is pretty cool how these go out. Actually, this is... Let's see if we can find a good spot to watch it. Watching those rocket launches is pretty cool. I don't know how to stop. So they're all kind of picking their destinations. There's a whole bunch of nodes being created, so they're just taking the inefficient path to whatever nodes they need to create. You can see they're just going out on pattern. All the while these lasers are being fed by Mark III belt. So this gives some idea of just how many are being processed right now. This is a problem. That's a problem. That will be better. They were flying it, since it was solar sails were being delivered from within the solar system, they were not warping. This is the other problem. Yes. Okay. So this is the one that has those. So anybody that needs there we go. They need warpers. Perfect. Most of these don't need warpers because they're being pushed here from the old home system. But since this is actually feeding rockets and solar sails into the system, these rockets are all being produced at the old home system. I have not created this here, but these are all being created, well, 95% of them being created locally. There's a massive factory for producing those. Now that warpers are working and that's set to 0.5, this system will be a lot happier. So this is how fast the rockets are being launched. This is how fast the solar sails are going through. This is actually using a slow rails, or belts. There's just not too many going out really. But these basically using every launcher available, and they just completely span the planet so that about half of them can see to shoot at any given time. I don't know that the rockets really care about whether or not they can see. I didn't know how that would work. Is there anything else? Yeah, I'm just gonna build this, do a couple things here with this system. 10,000 in game science per minute, of which I'm at 720, so I'm 7.2% of the way there. And then finish this this Dyson sphere. This Dyson sphere is kind of crazy. For example, just this polygon, possibly a third of it, requires 143,000 solar sails. I've put 5,400 in. Looks like 120 are processing right now. It's a bunch. I might not have enough nodes. I'm still not clear on the nodes. Does this mean that this can only process 120 solar sails per minute? That might be the case. So if I add more nodes... See, I don't know if I can add nodes partway through the process, conflict with shells. So I don't know what happens if I try to deconstruct one. So probably what I need to do is on the next layer just go kind of... In fact, I think I'm going to just do a test one here where I just create a bunch. Conflicts with shell. So I'm not sure what to... So the problem is I can't... Yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm not sure about. Maybe I have to use this one. Refit deployment. Well, I guess I could just start up here and solve all my problems. What I was thinking of doing was really get it tight. So having these extra nodes, I'm going to see if this whole thing builds faster, because maybe each of these nodes only allows in a certain amount of ships and stuff, or solar cells. So now I just need to do this. Okay, those are ready now. So that's my little experiment. So what happens if I tighten this up? I have the option to delete this and go tighter if I need to. But probably I'll just end up doing it like this for the rest. But we'll see how that goes. Still learning. Yeah, this is this is just one layer. I don't know how much power this thing's going to have. So it's a tiny fraction of the overall thing, and it's now doing 30.9 gigawatts. I mean, wouldn't be surprised if I get over a terawatt on this thing. Maybe a lot more. And that's just one layer. It's just this layer. What happens if I use up all my layers? Make them as big as possible. Pretty cool. Okay, that's all. Goodbye.